Hi, I'm Sherry and welcome back to my channel, everybody, and if you're new here, welcome. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the 10 best tips for selling upcycle clothing on Etsy. This is taken from my 7 years of experience, not super long, but long enough to kind of know what works and doesn't work. And this is not an all-inclusive know-how, this is just things that I've learned. I'm sure there are other sellers who could give you other tips, and I'd love to hear other sellers' tips. If you want to leave them in the comments section, that would be awesome. If you've sold upcycle clothing on Etsy and you have some tips to share that aren't ones that I have here, I would love to hear them. I'm always learning new things. So, okay, so I made myself a lovely little list here. So the first tip is if you're just beginning to sell, or even if you're already selling and you're having trouble, is to do your research. You need to go look at not necessarily what's in other people's stores, but what they've sold. And this will let you know the sizes to make, like who's buying, so that you're making for specific customers. Take note of the colors they prefer, the sizes, the styles, and then compete. This would be for any market. You would do this for any market. Make sure that you take the time to go do your research. And you can also go to the upcyclers that have the biggest and largest volume of sales, and then go look through and see what's been selling recently. And you can also, I want to put on here too, also when you sell, making lists of your customers and what their sizes, the lengths they prefer, and the colors they prefer. This is great because then you can make target audience type pieces. And so that was my first tip, is to do your research. Okay, tip number 2 seems obvious, but I'm really surprised how many people don't really try to do this. But you need to make quality pieces. Don't be one of those that just takes a top, cuts it off, throws something on the bottom, and tries to charge $90 to $100 for it. I see this all the time. I even see it from experienced upcyclers, and it's actually insulting to the customer. They can see you only have a top and a bottom, and maybe you went to the extra effort to throw a pocket on it. It looks like a con kind of game going. I'm just going to be honest here. I've had other customers even comment this to me, that they can't believe that other upcyclers are throwing a top and a bottom together, just sewing them together and calling it a $100 outfit. Okay, so if you make quality pieces, think of your pieces as like works of art. If you try to make quality pieces, they're going to probably reach a target audience and sell at some point. So, and also expect to invest the time it takes to make new pieces. In other words, it's not fair to base your price on a garment if you need to learn the process of making that particular style. It might take you 3 times as long to make your first few pieces of that garment. So don't put your pricing, base the pricing of that garment on what it would take to make it the first few times you make it. So that way you keep your prices low, and then next time when you get good at making it, if you make it in 3 hours compared to 6, depends what you think you should make an hour, but your price can be much lower on that garment. Okay, and tip number 3. Avoid holiday and custom pieces. This is something that I had to learn. If you make a holiday piece, make it something that could also be all year round. Like if I do anything for like Easter, it might be something that has a bunny on it, but that it could be worn all year. It's not just specific, because the problem with holiday items is you only have a short, tiny window to sell it in. So then it's just going to be in your store all year. And you want to be able to move garments quickly, because how many garments can you make in a day? This is the thing, if you really want to make, especially if you think you're going to make an entire living off of this, you got to be able to move and make quite a few garments. And And you don't want hundreds and hundreds in your store unless you're selling frequent. If you can make that many and sell that many, that would be great. But most of the time what happens is people get discouraged because they're not making quality pieces, or they're making seasonal pieces and they're stuck in their shop. Oh, goodness. And another thing is to avoid making custom pieces. And I know that a lot of people offer custom work, but I'm telling you, I learned the hard way, it takes way longer to do a custom piece, because the person is like, I had people like, yeah, that's where I want the pocket, and then you sew the pocket on the, and then they, no, I changed my mind, I want it over to the left a little bit. Well, then it's very hard. And then the colors, they don't see them. You'll take a picture, but your picture may not be the exact color. So by the time you go back and forth and hem and haw and this and that, it burns your time up, and you can't make money doing that. And if you're trying to upcycle for a living or to make money, you can't do custom work and really make a decent amount of money. At least not from my experience, not the way I was doing it anyways. So that is tip number 3, is to avoid holiday and custom pieces. Okay, tip number 4 is this is one I still struggle with. I really struggle with taking the best photos I can, because the customer is buying your picture. They have to go off your picture. Some of them don't even know where the description is at, where you go over on Etsy on the right hand side and it says more about this item. They don't even seem to know where that's at, because they'll still contact you and ask you what size it is and things like that. So understand that they're buying your picture. And when you take your photo, please, I've seen people do this. Do not put the garment on yourself, and do not go roll in the grass. How many times I've seen people take I shouldn't make me laugh, but they take this upcycle thing they made that they want like $100 and some for, and they go lay in the grass and take a picture of themselves. Have you ever tried to get a grass stain out? I am not going to buy that garment if you just went out and laid on the ground in it. And to me, having it on a hanger or a mannequin looks like it's brand new, it's fresh, like I saw it in a store. I don't even really like it. Not that it's bad when people try it on, but I would prefer they didn't. Like, I would like to know that I'm getting a brand new item freshly made. Okay, not, what I'm saying? I think you may be different, and you can put it in the comment section below if that would bother you. But for me, I would rather have it displayed on a hanger or a mannequin, and that if I was purchasing it. So that's another thing. You don't want to just turn away your customers, right, and make them think, well, this item's already got their body odor on it. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be gross here, but am I going to get it and there's going to be deodorant stains? I don't know that I want it if somebody is wearing it. So make your garment, put it, if you try it on to see how it fits, make sure you wear like an undershirt or something. So, okay, now that's fast. Tip number 5 is put all your listings on manual renewal. Etsy likes to do automatic renewal, and if you relist, they will automatically put it on automatic renewal. But the reason I like manual renewal is because you get to reevaluate your item. Why didn't it sell? Did I do something wrong? Is there anything I can add to this? Do I want to keep this in my store? You get to reevaluate every time a renewal comes up. And when you do that, a lot of times, like in 3 months from the time you made it, you will have progressed in your skills, and you can see what else you could have done to the outfit or what you can do with that outfit to make it a better seller. So always put your listings on manual renewal. Tip number 6 is to put your store name in all your listings. Make sure, because if you've ever just tried to type your store name on Etsy in and find it, it's very hard to find. I don't know why Etsy does that, why they make it almost impossible to find your store. But if you do social media to bring that traffic to your store, or if you have friends or family that wants to shop from your store, And then you say, well, this is my store name. You can't find it. You can't find it. That's why I put it in all my descriptions when I'm doing my tags and stuff. So always put your store name in your listings. Okay, and then this one here is one that stops a lot of people. And I'm going to tell you how to avoid depression. So this is tip number 7, is avoid depression. In the clothing business, and probably all retail really, there are real busy times of the year and there are slow times of the year. With upcycle clothing, when you get into the holidays, a lot of times it will get slow, like Christmas and things like that. And the reason why is most people buy upcycle clothing for themselves. So, I thought I heard somebody at the door. There's no one there. So my suggestion is to understand that there's going to be real busy times and there's going to be slow times. And in your slow times, instead of, several times I've almost quit. And largely because I didn't know this next one I'm going to tell you, tip number 8, because I didn't understand this. Had I known this early on, I would have even had better sales than I already had. But when you have slow times, tip number 7, take your time to learn new things, get new product in, stock up your store for the next busy season, reevaluate what you have in stock. Take that slow time to deep clean your studio, to do the things you need to do, right? So some of the fast times, like real busy times, is right before seasonal changes. People want, a new fall garment, a new spring garment. And then right when they all get their tax refunds, it's a great time to run a sale. Like if you've got a bunch of stuff in your store and you want to put it on sale or whatever, 10-15% off, whatever, it's a great time because it's going to be really busy. And one of the other tips is I've tried some of Etsy's, like they have features like if somebody leaves something in the cart for so many days, you can offer them a percentage off. I've tried that, but very rarely people will buy it anyways. They buy when they're ready to buy, and it doesn't really matter so much on the price tag of it. I don't know how to explain. If they love the garment, most people are willing to pay for that garment. It doesn't matter if it's a $20 difference. If they love the garment, they're like, I want that. So, okay. Tip number 8. This is probably, I think, the best tip of the list. I got a truck going by just as I'm saying, and he's jake braking. Tip number 8 is list frequently. You hear him? Right by, but I don't know if you heard that or not, but anyways, to list frequently, because if you can do it, it's tough. If you can do at least one listing a day, it'll take 2 or 3 weeks. But what that does is that puts you on like every page of Etsy, and your sales will go way up. If you can list an item every day, minimum every other day, okay? If you can do that, you will notice really big rewards. You'll start getting sales because it puts you out on all those different pages. And I will say this, I have not tried purchasing Etsy ads. I haven't tried, I don't know that they'll work. If you have I say that because I've seen a lot of the things in the Etsy ads and they're still there in the shops. Like maybe they drive more traffic. I don't know. So if you've used Etsy ads and you've had good success, I would like to hear about it. You can maybe put that in the comment section. But listing frequently is probably my best tip for selling, because you're going to get on every page, as in on Etsy. So every time they go to a new page, you're there again. Go to a new page, you're there again. So really, really gives you good coverage on Etsy. Okay, and number 9 is to remember that your clothing items are like artwork. Okay, it's not like it's going to go out of style. It's not like fast fashion where like, oh, we're not in style this year, so we're going to, discount it 90% off and go get something else. It's totally different. You'll find that if you have a good item and the right person comes along, if you store it properly, and I'm going to talk about that, it is because you're using used clothing already. It's not like it's going to get ruined waiting and keeping it in your inventory if you take care of it in your inventory. So don't panic if something doesn't sell. If it's a good piece and you like the piece and it's a good piece, then I've sold things that's been in my store for a year. You'll have the right person come along and buy it. So just keep making things, keep doing your research, keep improving your craft and your skill, and and as you go along, your income will increase. So, and the last one is about storing your items. Tip number 10. Don't store your clothing that you make on hangers. It'll stretch the shoulders out, and don't store them anywhere where sunlight can get to them because it'll fade, and rot the fibers. I store mine in those fabric cubes, and I store them away from the light. Usually, like in here, I've got them up next to the ceiling in fabric cubes, and then I label the cubes like long sleeve collared upcycles. I label them so I can find them when I sell them. And by keeping you could even store a piece of fabric softener sheet in with them. Just, keep them folded up nice. You could probably even use bags to put them in bags if you wanted. But mine are just folded up in a fabric cube and put away from the light. And I'm in the cubes all the time. So, getting things in and out and stuff like that. So I'm monitoring them and anything that might go wrong. But if you store them really nicely and don't store them on hangers and stuff like that, you can keep that quality item you made. It's like I said, it's like a piece of artwork, and you can feel confident in selling. It's still a really good piece. It's not going to go bad in a year. So, okay, that was my 10 top tips, but I'm going to throw in a bunch of freebie stuff here at the end that I also learned. And if you have any questions, you can put them down in the comment section, and I might do one where I just answer questions. But sew ahead for each season and for the season you're in as well. So most people want, they're buying ahead for the next season, but you're also going to have people buying for that season in particular. So when you're making your items, try to do both. Kind of sew ahead and sew. Plus, there's all kinds of climates all over the world. You're in an international market here. I sell all over the world. And one thing I like about Etsy, and I'll say this on here too, the reason it's on my list are all the reasons I like Etsy. But they send, when you sell international, it's very difficult to ship to like the UK and stuff. But when you sell international with Etsy, they send it to a special facility, and they make sure everything is right in the package before it goes out, so it doesn't get returned and all these other things. So that is very important. And let's see here. Oh, setting your price. Setting your price. It depends on quite a few factors. How much you feel you need to make per hour, and how much your time is worth. But here's how I do it. I start with the cost of my materials, and then I figure in the amount of time it took me to make the garment, the amount of shipping estimated, and taxes. And I don't think I'm forgetting anything, but basically I allot a certain amount for each one, and then determine my price point. So that's how I determine my price. And for your taxes, depends totally on your tax bracket. If your income is high, like if you're married and or you have a job that pays really high and you're doing this part-time, your tax bracket will of course be different. So I can't really advise to taxes on this, but that is one of your expenses. And another thing is to put the Etsy app on your phone. Here's how I do my listings. I take all the pictures on my phone, and then I upload and start the listing from my phone. Then I go to my PC where I can type faster and easier, and I finish the listing on my PC. So that makes it really easy for me. I just do the photos with my phone and do the because you don't have to fill out everything on the listing. They have a little red asterisk. I don't know how to pronounce that right, but the little red mark, and those are the things you have to fill in, and then you can fill the rest in, and make sure you fill the rest in, all the tags, everything they ask about, the sizes, everything. And once you start doing it, it's not that hard. It's on the first few pieces you may have to take your time to learn how to list if you've never sold on Etsy, but it's not that hard. Okay, and here's another thing about Etsy I really like is if you, and I've only had this happen a couple of times where I've actually had to block someone, but there are people that come on there and no matter what you do, they'll give you, I saw one poor lady, I forgot the name of her store, but this person bought from her like 3 times and every time would leave her like 3 stars. The problem with that is if you don't stay a 5-star seller with Etsy, you don't get promoted, and if you don't offer free shipping, they don't promote your store. So, or they promote it less. So those are things you have to protect yourself. If you have somebody that's being a stinker, or let's say you don't want to sell internationally to a certain country, or you had trouble, you can, there is a feature where you can block people from your store. What I like about Etsy is they offer you discounted shipping. So like if it says 11 something, it might be 8 something for you. And that covers all your packaging. So that's really nice. It's like getting free packaging with free shipping, you know. I mean, with your shipping. And they have just a huge amount of traffic coming through Etsy. There's a lot of traffic coming through. So it's like being in a huge shopping mall, you know, setting up. And you get a discount if you bring the traffic. So like some of you guys come from YouTube to my store, I get a discount for that. So that's huge. And then they send you a 1099, so it's easier to do your taxes. You just get a 1099 and you can, you know, and they also work with TurboTax. They work with TurboTax and QuickBooks. So if you have a bigger store, you know, I don't use the QuickBooks because I'm a very small operation, but you know, if you had a massive, let's say you were selling, you know, craft supplies and you had a lot, you know, a lot of categories, that would be really handy. They also pay state taxes in your behalf, so you don't have to mess with that. I mean, they make it so easy, and honestly, their fees aren't that bad. I averaged it out, and it's about a total of, I think, about 10%, somewhere around there. So I really like the platform to sell on. I haven't had any real troubles or issues with them. And the very last tip is just to keep your workspace nice and clean so it feels welcoming and inviting. You'll find you create more if you have a clean space and you organize yourself. It'll feel much more pleasant to be in the space and you'll want to sew more. And one thing I learned is after sewing for a while, I learned what I needed and didn't need over time and what I used the most of, so I could get rid of the things out of my space that was just clutter and I wasn't actually using it. So that really helps. And it helps you to just do more in your space when you have elbow room and you have a less to trip over and things like that. So I hope these tips help. These are some of my top tips, my top 10 plus a lot more. And I hope it helps everybody. And I thank you guys so much for watching and for liking, sharing, and subscribing. You're awesome. I can't believe how many subscribers I have already. And you're all such a blessing. And until next time, happy sewing!